Hey guys, let's talk about last week's episode of Masters of Sex. And I really, really enjoyed this episode. We had a lot going on. Bill is basically crumbling. He's having all these visions of Virginia. She's left his practice, I guess. She's gone to work with Lillian, and the two of them are bonding quite nicely. And she's off on a bus trip to help her get some more people, I guess, aware and get some money and some sponsorship for all this pap smear testing that she wants to have brought to light. But all in all, the episode was, I think, a really good, episode for Virginia. It showed her without Bill. It also showed her using her magic once again, and really bonding a lot with Lillian. And the two of them have been pretty much knocking heads the whole time this season. And by the end of the episode, Lillian reveals to Virginia that she has cancer and that it's inoperable, and that she's pretty much dying, and then at some point she's going to have to pass all of her research on to somebody. And it's sort of like a wink wink, that's going to be you, Virginia. So it'll be interesting to see how this relationship plays out. There was a moment in this where, she was, Lillian was really upset with the fact that Bill, pretty much gets to work kind of freelance and gets to get clients to come in and then gets to make whatever money and pocket it. And, she's pretty much saying, like, look, people like me suffer because he gets to do that and I don't even get to have like my basic, research study take off the ground because of things that he does. And of course, Virginia kind of defends him, but at the end of the day, Virginia knows that what Bill is doing is great research, and she's, always going to defend the study that he's working on. But it was good to see her and Lillian really bond in this episode. And I think, again, we see Ethan playing pretty much father to her kids in this episode. And Ethan and Lillian and Virginia have pretty much been a couple for the last few weeks, and everybody knows it. Bill knows it, and of course he's upset about it. But what can he do? He's married and has a wife that's pregnant, so you need to deal with that. But we had some episodes with Ethan and Virginia's ex-husband, and him coming in pretty much saying, like, who do you think you are? And he's like, well, look, you just come around once every blue moon. I've been here and I'm taking care of these kids. He's like, if you want to be their dad in name only, you go for it. But I'm going to be here as the provider, and I'm going to take care of these kids. And he's really, saying that I want to be her husband one day and I want to take care of these children. And it was kind of nice to see Ethan stand up to the ex, who's really useless. He just comes around and, he's like the fun dad who, keeps his kids up way past their curfew and gives them ice cream when they should be eating real food. And you know what I mean? So he's like the irresponsible parent. But, at the end of the day, we all know that Bill and Virginia are going to end up together. So watching the two of them kind of duke it out was just kind of like, okay, you guys can have it. You can have at it, but we all know who she's really going to end up with. So what was also interesting in this episode was Libby came to work at the office, and while she was there, she was helping them kind of sort through applicants, because basically Bill is getting ready to prove or to discuss his study to the panel and to a group of people. And of course he's nervous about it, and he's having all these visions of Virginia, and he's calling his new assistant Virginia all the time, and her name is Jane, and it's just like, he's a mess. He's constantly thinking about Virginia, and it's kind of funny. But in these visions, he's like kind of almost willing to cut corners to get some of this stuff done. And she in like his brain is saying, you can't do that. That you have to do at least this many studies for this to count, and you have to do this. And so she's basically calling him out on his own stuff in his mind, you know what I mean? And during the time that Libby is there and she's going through all this paperwork, she says to Jane, she's like, wow, there's a couple that's been in here and they've done this study, I believe it's 32 times, or it's, no, 23 times. And she's like, who? These two must really like each other. Did they meet? And then she starts asking Bill all these questions, like, did they meet there? Did they know each other before? He's like, nobody knew each other before. And she's like, oh, so you set them up? And, she's asking all these questions. And of course, he's not trying to answer any of them. And then she's like, oh, I think these two are in love. Don't you think they're in love? And he's obviously not going to answer that question because she's talking about him and Virginia, and it's so awkward. And it's almost like deep down Libby knows the truth. And she even says to him at a point in this episode, like, what happens when all this is done? Like, where do we go from here? What's going to be the next thing? Because once you've proven your case, or you've discussed your case to the panel, what happens next? And he's pretty much just like, well, we just keep going. You know what I mean? He's like, he just wants to keep doing whatever it is that he's doing. And again, this just sort of says to her, like, he's never going to put you first. It's just never going to happen. So, I thought there was some really great moments between Libby and him in this episode, and to see Virginia really step up at the end. And there was a scene with the ex-husband and Ethan, and he was saying to him, did you know that Virginia could sing? Did you know that part about her life? Like, you think you know everything about her, but you really don't know anything about her. And it was this moment where Ethan was kind of like standing there like, maybe I don't know everything about her. And then at the end, the last scene, you see Virginia singing, and she's in like this phone booth, and she's singing, and she's got this beautiful voice. And the song that she's singing is pretty much like, I'm a woman, I'm on my own, I'm singing to a friend, and I'm alone in this booth, but I'm like transparent. Everybody can see me, but they don't really know me. They don't really know who I am. So I thought it was very interesting. And, again, like this show is like a slow, subtle build, and I've really enjoyed it this season. We have one more episode left, and then that will be the season finale. So I'm excited to see what happens next. All right, guys, let me know what you thought about Masters of Sex this week, and leave a comment down below. Okay, bye.